All right, all right, all right, all right. We are back live and in living color here at WKCG, the spot 99.1 on your FM dial. You're listening to Real Talk with Herschel. The views expressed today on this show are mine and my guests alone. They do not necessarily reflect those of WKCG or the top society. Now that we got the legalities out of the way, we're coming back live. I have in-studio guest, Mr. Al, my brother, Alvin Wiggins. He's a sixth grade science teacher. I'm underselling it because I don't let him introduce himself to you. Mr. Wiggins, will you introduce yourself to our audience?
First off, let me say good afternoon.
Come on with it.
Okay. And I like how you threw that disclaimer out there.
Okay, that's right.
So, I appreciate it because these are our views.
And they're the truth, but they are views. Come on with it.
Okay. I'm currently a STEM teacher at one of the local middle schools. And I've been teaching about 6 years. And it's pretty much, I love what I do. It's enlightening. It has given me a different perspective about my community. I guess that's what we're really here to talk about.
Yeah. Now you said you teach STEM.
STEM.
But for those that don't know what STEM is, would you just elaborate a little bit?
Okay, STEM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And basically what it is, if I was going to put it in a simpler term, we take science and we take the phenomenons of science and math, and we study those phenomenons through engineering process by way of technology. So we kind of roll it all together, and we make all of our situations, we try to make as many situations as possible as real life.
Okay, and like I said, I just wanted you to elaborate because I've had the pleasure of being able to sit in on dozens of your classes, and it's amazing what you're teaching. We were speaking earlier about the miseducation of our children and the importance of education. So, as a teacher, give us. I want to ask you. You're a young. No, you might age. You young. Anyway, you were a young black man at one time, and there's a void of male teachers, especially black men. What made you want to be a teacher at a fundamental level as a sixth grade? Because those are the formative years.
Well, first off, I never planned to be a teacher. It's just kind of something that just kind of happened along the way. I was actually going to school for business, and a couple of my partners, when they said, "Hey man, why don't you get into teaching?" I mean, you're always trying to show us something, teach us something. I thought they was just a way of me telling me I talk too much. You know what I'm saying? And I dominated the conversation. However, I looked into the program, and I took a couple of classes, and I liked it, and I kind of pursued it from there. I didn't really fall in love with teaching until I got my first assignment, and from my observation knowledge, I was privy enough to go to one of the little elementary schools and interact with the youth, and it was different. Not only was it different, I see how important it was. I just remember it.
Okay, well, like I said, traditionally there are a lot of black male teachers, and the ones that we do have are usually very good. You're teaching something that I haven't seen taught since I was a kid, and they usually taught it to the girls under the auspice of home ec.
Yes, sir.
I saw you teaching your children how to write checks and make budgets in the sixth grade. Because what's missing in our community, and I'm going to say this like this, what's missing in our community is teaching our children economics as opposed to how to count. Our children can count. They can count money, they can count, but they don't learn economics and the importance of what makes the economy grow. And I saw you teaching this to 6th and 7th graders, right?
Yes, actually all three.
Oh,
you can't remember that.
Okay.
So it's 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, 6, 7, and 8 graders. And I believe that you are one of only 2 schools that teaches this in Dothan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know you can't get into a whole lot of specifics, but I'm just trying to make a point. Now, we have all these schools in Dothan. We have all these black children that are being miseducated. The children that come across you and the other school, I believe, is Carl.
Mhm.
They have a STEM lab as well.
Well, actually, Gerard.
Gerard, I'm sorry, Gerard. So Gerard has a STEM lab, and you have a STEM lab.
Yes, sir.
And there are no other ones in the city of Dothan.
I actually think that uh, Beverly has a science lab and Carver has STEM lab. They actually use a program called Project Lead.
Okay. My point is, why isn't this, I don't want to get into too much about it. I'm going to get you in trouble because I know you're a teacher. But isn't that a problem that all of our children aren't learning these things?
Well, how can I put this? Two variables for me. I teach from a different place. I guess my background dictates why I implement some of the things in my program. Like, for instance, the actual check writing and budgeting was something that I am. Simply because before you can teach a child how to do a project base or to run a budget for a project, you got to first teach them how to budget their own money. Real life says that not only can I budget and run this business and get the necessary funds to run this business, but I have to maintain my household as well. So you're talking about a personal budget, which then transfers into how do we manage a entire project, whether it be building a subdivision, whether it be building a new prototype of some type of invention that they come up with. We do everything from drafting. We go from idea to concept to idea to drafting to prototype to testing. That's where the engineering process comes in. What really motivated me and what I started to notice was that as I came up, first of all, I think that STEM has not taken the full effect because it's so new. First off, it's so new. Teachers are already bogged down with standardized testing, so there's always a factor that's in the background when it comes to how they educate the kids. There's always something saying that this is what you have to do. So when you get into things like STEM that is very, very new, that's not everywhere, it's not as, people don't grab onto it as fast because a lot of people feel it's not proven. It's not a proven strategy because it's so new. In all actuality, it's not really new. When we came up, we had shop classes, we had brick masonry, we had auto mechanics. Basically, when I look into our community, yeah, Dothan is at 4% unemployment rate, but African American Black men we're at 7%. So here's the thing: is it that we don't want to work, or is it that we don't have the skills? That makes sense. So where do we start? How do we fix it? Okay, it's hard for me to go out and fix men over 25. They're already kind of set in the ways. So what I attempt to do is to expose my kids now to these different careers. And the only way that you can make this important to our kids, or our education important to them, you have to show them how it affects them in the real world. So we have to make that connection. Being our community, we have so many blended families. We have so many fathers that have other priorities than actually the education. It makes it hard to sit down and build a plan with that parent for that child. If we had more parent involvement, we will be amazed at how far.
And that kind of goes into my next question. The state of education in Alabama, we know that unfortunately Alabama is dead last in education. Dead last. It's not a criticism. It's a fact. It's a documented fact. Alabama is dead last in education. These new programs are coming in. Teachers like you are trying these new concepts, I guess, with the approval of the board, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, what do you think can be done to address, because somebody's got to be last, why got to be Alabama, is what I'm saying. You seem like a very passionate teacher. I've known you for a few years. You're very passionate about your students, and you're very passionate about their futures. So bringing the politicians and the board into it, what do you see would help bolster what you're trying to do and help get this spread out so Alabama can catch up to the rest of the country? Because Alabama is dead last. And we have a lot of talented kids. I've met a lot of children, both inside and outside of your classroom in these schools. And we have a lot of talent that's going to waste because they're being miseducated. Do you see it as a funding problem or a policy problem or just politics in general where they don't put put money into black schools?
Well, I think it's when you analyze the entire situation. Our situation is Dothan, and Dothan is different than the situation across Alabama. The reason I say that is because one, we have a new superintendent that is all about instruction, all about education, it's all about AP classes. You know, she brings to the table, hey, our kids should not graduate from high school and not already have at least have made an attempt towards already having a 2-year degree. So with that being said, she brings these challenges to the table and she asks us, what do we have in place? And what we told her was, we have these things in place. So she took that into consideration and she said, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm going to go forward. So now when you see a lot of people in the community, you couldn't grasp the overall purpose of the consolidation. But when you look at it from a systemic standpoint, you can't raise the culture of people by way of the school system if each school act as an independent entity. Right. So what she proposes to do is set an instructional core that goes across the entire city, and you raise the city up as a whole and not certain sectors of the city. In order to do that, you have to have diversity in the classroom, which means that you have to take your low income and mix with your high income because they need to learn the middle class rules that run the elementary system, and that ultimately the middle class rules is what governs the United States. So you can't do better if you're not exposed to better. It's not about they're better than us or we don't want to mingle with certain people. It's just that you have access to certain resources that other cultures don't. So when you cross mingle and you add diversity to the classroom, diversity to the school system, you ease racism and tension because now you build empathy through what? Curriculum and interaction.
You know what? You're answering questions I was going to ask you, and this is what we were talking about earlier. You know, if we're truly citizens, just give us what we're doing. Give us equal opportunity to make something of ourselves. Now, if we choose not to, then that's on us.
Yes, sir.
But give me the opportunity. So another question that we're going to take a break after that. We're going to come back and get to some meat. With all the teacher strikes going on around the country, do you guys as teachers in Dothan, because since we're centralized here in Dothan, we're trying to uplift our community first. If you can discuss it, do you guys have enough resources to do what you do? Do you get a decent wage? Because I have no idea what teachers make. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I do. Because what happens if our teachers are not getting paid? Because I've met you along with a handful of other teachers that are great teachers and have a lot of passion and compassion for the children. I want to make sure that you guys are getting proper compensation. Is there enough compensation? Was there fair compensation for the teachers?
That question is twofold. For someone that loves to teach, compensation isn't a factor. But for those who live in the real world, your salary is a factor. If we could teach for free, we'll have a utopian society where everything will be provided for. But we don't. I think teachers, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, teachers are one of the only professionals that's required to have a certification and do not get paid according to the certification. A plumber has a set certification. A mechanic has a set hourly wage that's attached to the certification. Doctors set wages based off of their certifications. Psychiatrists, sociologists, and the list goes on and on and on. But teachers are the only one that were paid well below what we're worth. How do you take the people that build the future and give them the lease. And a lot of the funds are tied up on the federal level. It's certain things that they want in place. It's certain situations, it's certain school systems that when you start looking at how they're zoned, and the federal regulations are really what's forcing or supporting segregated schools, so to speak. When you start to look at the research and you start to look at the statistics, and it's an ugly thing, but we have to understand that this is what it is. Different programs promote certain things, and when you have certain programs that support certain things, and the only way you can get these funds, you force segregation in a sense. You understand what I'm saying? So first thing first, I feel as if the federal government should kind of stand back, and they should give each state the ability to run their school system in a way that they want to run their school system. They should give the states more authority. Reason being, who knows more about the state than the leaders in the state? Okay, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a national board or something that kind of regulates and make sure that we stay level. But when you start to look at who we are and what we are, the United States has always been a world power because of our economy, because of our technology, because of the ability to wage war and bring things to the table that nobody else can bring to the table. We're actually dropped until we're about 36 in the world when it comes to education. That's unacceptable.
Okay. And one other thing I want to ask you about. What do you think parents, because you're a parent as well as I am, what do you think parents could do more or more to help the situation, whether it be with funding, supporting, or, what's your overall view on a parent's role in a child's education?
When you look at the success of certain schools, or when you take in consideration the success of schools in Alabama, especially in Dothan, the one factor that stands out that no one ever really talks about is parent support.
Okay.
If you look at a school like Harvard, who in 2017, according to School Digger, was ranked 8th in the state. If you look at a Beverly, who was ranked 46, I believe either 42nd or 46th in the state, versus your other two middle schools that was well below 50%, and some even well below that in the bottom 5%. The one key thing that stands out to me was parent support. You cannot support your school if you don't know what your child is learning, and vice versa. So I think where we drop the ball a lot of time, we don't put emphasis on how important it is for us to build relationship with community leaders, stakeholders, and just parents in general. And we need to build that. If you build those relationships and those trusts, a parent will feel as if, okay, this teacher has my child's best interest in hand. At that point in time, you sit down as a team for the development of this child. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and they're absolutely right. I am the educator, but the real teachers at home. I only keep them so many hours a day. I can only work with what you say. That, you understand what I'm saying? So, and I will do my best. But I have so much more validity to what I do when they know that the parents support. Sometimes that means you can't be selfish. You got to get up, even when you get off work, and make the meeting, make the PTA meeting, make some of the activities that display some of the stuff that they do in school. Nothing makes a child more proud than to be able to display their talents to their parents. You're their leaders, you're their heroes. So going forward, I think that's one of the things that we plan on doing, building just good, solid relationships with parents. And it's not even about the money. You know what I mean? You can raise the money. If you go out and get it, you can raise the money. It's all about the support. You got to get behind your kids. They got to know. They got to know how important it is. We don't show the importance of education. We don't talk about the importance of education. We don't sit down at dinner time anymore and shut off all the devices and have those conversations. What did you learn in school today? Okay, this is how it applies. Well, Dad works here, and this is how I use this. You know, we don't have those conversations. So when we don't have those conversations, we miss those conversations. You know, statistics say that in white American homes, most of the conversations between the parents usually run maybe 2-3 hours. In the Hispanic household, is an hour. In the African American household, it's 15 minutes. And everything that you said is a directive. How was your day? Did you do your homework? Wash the dishes, clean your clothes, take a bath, go to bed. And that's the extent of the conversation. So you can't get upset when your child come home and you say, well, how was school today? And they say, good. Because you've taught them to have these type of conversations. Okay, so we wrap up everything in his day or her day by the word good, and we accept that and we move on, not even knowing that everything isn't good.
Right. Okay. Now, and since I've been here in Alabama, I noticed something. Well, don't you got a lot of private and charter schools, a lot of them. Now, if you can or if you know, how does that affect the resources, or how are the resources allocated between private schools and public schools, or does it affect one at all, or does it affect one?
Well, yes, it does. The way that public schools are funded, they are funded based off of how many students and the absenteeism, the absent rate.
Okay.
And you have to make certain requirements. You have to meet certain requirements, and then a certain amount of dollars are allocated to each child. When that child leaves that school, those funds must follow that child. So what happens is, when you sit in a situation where you're losing anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 students to private school, it has a big effect on funding.
Wait. So you mean, wait a minute. So Title I money is public school money, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying $25 per student, let's just say that. So if that student leaves a public school, that public money goes to that private school?
I'm not quite sure how that works, but if I'm not mistaken, there is a dollar amount that is attached to it.
Right.
Now, most private schools, they go up under the umbrella of, okay, we offer you a scholarship, or you have to add X amount of dollars to it because of the private tuition.
Okay.
So the private tuition may outweigh what public schools would get for each child, but in the same token, there is an amount that's allocated.
So what I'm saying is there is funding. So it is
Yes.
funding for private schools.
Yes, and even if it vouchers have not just come around.
Right.
They're always kind of been in circulation. They was called different things, and I try to tell people all the time. People try to put labels on different parts of the government, or they frown upon this group that receives this funding or this group. The last time I checked, you frown on a young lady that receives AFDC check, but you won't frown upon a corporation that receives $10 million grant to build something in the community or whatever the case may be. The last time I checked, the money comes from the same pool. They just write different names on the check. That makes sense. So what happens is, even if they don't get that amount, if they leave that school, we lose it out of the public school system. So either way, we feel it. It doesn't matter where it goes, we feel it. So roughly, if your school is receiving $5,000 per child, not including special needs or Title I or whatever the case may be for public funding, $5,000 per child, and you lose 100 kids, you just lost $500,000.
Right.
Well, actually more than that. If you lose 50 kids, you lose $250,000. So you lose 500 kids, man, you start topping the millions. So, and you pull that out. And it's not to say that their education isn't better Most people think that private education is better, but when you start weighing the expertise and the qualification measures, standards for private teachers, most of them are not certified teachers. Most of your certified teachers are in public schools. So when you have a public school that falls below 50% of teachers that's being certified, and the community ridicules a public school for that, but you send your children out to private schools that have no certified teachers. So here's the situation. Where is it? It's not the quality of the education, it's the clientele. It's the clientele. Your clientele is specific. You choose specific clientele. My clientele is whoever walks through that door, because by law I cannot turn you away, because I must offer you a free and appropriate education.
All right. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break. We're going to come on back, and we're going to be a little more unprofessional. We're going to talk about today. That's Alvin Wiggins. That's right.